Good afternoon, everyone. Honorable Chancellor, Symbiosis International University, Dr. S.B. Majumdar. Pro-Chancellor, Symbiosis International University, Dr. Vidya Yervedekar. Vice-Chancellor, Symbiosis International University, Dr. Rajni Gupte. Today's chief guest, former Indian Ambassador and Distinguished Professor, Symbiosis International University, Sri Pawan Verma ji. Our Dean, Faculty of Humanities and Social Sciences, and Director, Symbiosis School of Economics, Dr. Jyoti Chandaramani, faculty members, staff, my dear students and friends, I, Krishnan Roy, on behalf of Symbiosis School of Economics, welcome you all for our most awaited 13th Annual Day program. The year 2021 was extremely difficult for all of us due to new normal. First time in our lives, we experienced lockdown, work from home, online teaching, evaluations, etc., etc. During the academic year, we all faced tremendous challenges in terms of teaching, learning, and other academic activities. But together, we managed to solve all and move forward. Once again, it's my pleasure to welcome you all for this gathering. Now, I would request Dr. Aditi to take over.
Thank you, sir. A very warm welcome and good afternoon to all present here. The more you take the responsibility of your past and present, more you are able to create the future you seek. With this quote, I would take the opportunity to invite our director, Professor Dr. Jyoti Chandaramani ma'am, for taking us on the journey of Symbiosis School of Economics 2020-21. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Aditi. A very good afternoon to all dignitaries present here today. As I share my screen, I welcome on board for this 13th annual gathering, Dr. S.B. Majumdar sir, our Chancellor, Symbiosis International University and Founder President of Symbiosis Society, Dr. Vidya Yervedekar ma'am, Pro-Chancellor, Symbiosis International University, our Vice Chancellor ma'am, Dr. Rajni Gupte, Symbiosis International University, Sri Pawan Verma ji, our chief guest for today, Distinguished Professor at SIU and former Ambassador, Member of Rajya Sabha. Dear students and my dear colleagues, I thank you for being a part of this inimitable journey that we have traversed 2020-21 completely in the lockdown mode. SSC is highly influenced by the philosophy imbibed by our founder, President, Dr. Majumdar, of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is one village. The school strives this towards creating equilibrium by creating modern day Kausalyas, steering the economy, preparing economists for a better tomorrow, for a better society, an economy which takes into account its people, its planet, prosperity, peace, and most definitely fostering future partnerships. SSC at its very core is into the process of capacity building of social scientists who become great change makers as we move along. As we see this particular slide and we see students huddled together, we wonder kahan gaye wo din, where we could sit together and actually come for a photograph. But today we would be having a different kind of a picture for the 13th annual day. And as we move on, we have seen how we talk about the pre-COVID days or before COVID, BC, DC, during COVID, and then of course, awaiting the period post-COVID or after COVID. I ask myself this question very often, that what is the future going to look like? Are we going to be in a version of the world that is going to be metaverse? Well, students, we are going to unfold this as we sit with all intellectuals today to run through this journey. Our students, almost 700 plus in numbers. Our alumni, 1,700. 2 programs delivered by expert in-house faculty, adjunct faculty, visiting faculty, and practitioners from the world across. The pandemic has allowed us to connect with faculty from all over. And this is the year where I'd like to place on record my appreciation for some of our oldest visiting faculties who have been with us for over 2 decades, for over a decade. I'm sorry, I'm looking into the future already. And that is Amey Sane sir and Sushma Nayak, who've been a part of the Symbiosis journey as students and have been visiting faculty at our school for over a decade. Ravikant Joshi, who's been an urban practitioner, a consultant with World Bank and UNDP. Naeem Keruwala, who's been program director and team leader at National Institute of Urban Affairs. Rajiv Sate, who comes with his expertise on international exports and imports, who teaches multinational trade and procedure. Sagar Bendre, who intelligently connects law and economics. Brijesh Mishra, professor from IIM, who teaches us actuarial economics. Ketan Chafekar, our own student from the first batch of MSc, who teaches financial risk management, himself a senior equity analyst. So yes, students, yes, dignitaries, we have experts, not only from SSC, adjunct, but even faculty experts as visiting faculty, and those from across the country, delivering the program in various combinations. As we move on, I think when we were framing this little acronym, it was a little joke, because at that time, the only dynamic uncertainty and challenges we had seen was the 2008 financial crisis. But right now, when we had framed this before COVID, this seems so appropriate to talk about the DAXA effect, which comes out at SSC. And yes, we have looked at these uncertainties and challenges and tried to see that the knowledge created is done in a manner that reaches out to everybody with skill sets and with the right attitude, following the RPI model that the school follows. The academics, research, seeing that our students are well placed in society, not just with jobs, but as citizens in society, the internationalization and the enhanced engagement that Symbiosis and our alumni and our faculty, etc., each one reach out and create their own little orbit and create a space for us to engage with so many people. One of the key aspects of Symbiosis School of Economics is its 2 very sound programs that have been ever evolving, going through theoretical framework, research focus, taking feedbacks from multiple stakeholders, bringing in experiential learning, incorporating dissertations and internships, looking at the innovative pedagogy, the interdisciplinary approach, whether it is finance and economics, entrepreneurship and economics, philosophy and economics, geoinformatics systems and spatial data and economics, artificial intelligence and the future that will lead us with economics. We talk about all this in our academic review committee, program review committee, and then come out with a new design every year almost, a new curated program that keeps incorporating the changes that happen in society. This is very well supported by my 2 colleagues, Dr. Ishita Ghosh, who's been a party to the academic journey of SSC for over a decade, and Dr. Niharika Singh, who has taken over as program in charge for BSc and has worked very hard to bring in her own passion for labor economics and gender economics into the forefront. As we go on, we've moved from offline teaching to online teaching to hybrid for a very short while and back to online. Using these various tools, I think we've all become very familiarized with these tools for asynchronous and synchronous modes of teaching that we talk about, Teams, Meet. We even have the Coursera courses at SSC. And in fact, our students are privileged to have access to those courses so that their value addition can happen alongside with their education. Teachers, faculty, peer learning through students, through FDPs have made the teachers at SSC great persons to teach, well received by our students. Our academics is also supported by value-added courses, adding value to the journey of the student. We are very concerned about emotional well-being, and therefore we have a course from the Symbiosis Center for Emotional Well-being that is offered. We have applied behavioral analysis by Hansika Kapoor. We have R and Python, which is created by our own faculty, along with our sister organization, Symbiosis Statistical Institution, and data analysis using Excel modes. And that is how even statistics is taught at SSE using Excel. It's learning by doing rather than just looking at textbooks. It's solving problems at all given points. Any academic program needs to have a very sound examination and assessment process. And to help us through this journey, we have the support of our senior colleague, Dr. Deepa Gupta and Dr. Ranjan Dash, who've taken care of the examination department through the COVID period, spending hours in ensuring that the academic journey, the examinations are conducted in a manner which is fair and giving the students the opportunity to raise their points and resolve every issue. Lots of time spent in the examination department. And now we come to the research centers, the research at SSE. As I say, academics and research are two different sides of a coin, and both are joined together. We have various focuses at SSE. They happen to be area transformations: urban, international studies, rural development, behavioral and experimental economics, development studies, and financial economics. Yes, they are very much linked with our MSc economic specializations, that of urban development since 2016, international studies since the year 2011, along with development studies, and financial economics in 2019. We will soon be proposing a MSc in economics with data analytics, which would probably be very few such institutions in the country offering the same. Moving here, we have two sound centers which support research: the Academic Writing Center right from the inception, and the Quantitative Learning and Application. Otherwise, we would not qualify for being called a BSc and MSc economics program. So we have the behavioral and the experimental economics cell. We have the urban studies cell. These help. We have projects. We've just completed the urban development, the sustainable development. I'm sorry, I have gone further. Yeah, I just wanted to press on this link, so just give me a minute. We did a project with NABARD called Sustainable Development Goals for Rural Maharashtra 2030, Challenges and Constraints. We are very much committed to sustainable development goals, and we have an inside view of 33 districts out of the 740 districts in India, all 33 rural districts of Maharashtra. And we have done this earlier with the Rural Development Infrastructure Index. So today we feel that we have a great insight into rural development of Maharashtra, a state which could be, defined as the 13th largest country in the world, with the kind of population that it has. And I take this opportunity to thank my team over here who worked on this project, and a special thanks to Dr. Ranjan Dash, who helped us through his difficult moments when he had just lost his spouse and came over after 2 days to handle the project, and did so during these challenging times. My special thank you to you, Ranjan, for helping us complete this project. Moving ahead, our faculty have taken part in more than 20 FTPs, workshops from within SSE and outside the university. Almost 186 dissertations have been guided by our faculty, collaborations with a lot of think tanks, conferences where our faculty have contributed in a number of ways. It's also been a year where we've had a few misses. We have put in a lot of research projects which have not got realized. They may have been research projects with, we had put one for the Innovation Challenge Fund, the future of mobility for rural and urban connectivity. which was done with the Dean of Engineering, the Symbiosis Institute of Technology, and many more such projects which have not got realized because of COVID and lack of funding that has dried up. Research at SSC is steered by Dr. Ranjan Das, one of the top-rated cited faculty at SIU, and Dr. Varun Miglani, a very keen learner and a very good person to have in a team whenever it comes to critical thinking. We now move to the third aspect of our model, the third pillar of our model, which is placements. And you can see the number of engagements the placement team, the placement students, the placement faculty have with our students to prepare them for life beyond SSC through interviews, through aptitude tests, career counseling, CV writing, and many more. In fact, it qualifies as a 30 hours value-added course and many more hours to that for students who are engaged with the placement activities and those who get placed from SSC. They are completely prepared for the world beyond. And we've had a large number of corporates, banks, technology centers coming in here and hiring from us. And the highlight of last year, 2020-2021, was when DE Shaw paid our undergraduate student a package of 19 lakhs, something that was a big jump for the placement team. And where do our alumni go? Where does SSC students, when they graduate, move out? Of course, they get into a large number of universities, but post that, many of them get into the banking and finance field. They are with NGOs and think tanks, working on research, working with data analytic companies. Many of them are pursuing their PhD, from international universities, entrepreneurs who have come back and hired from us, economic consultancies, and they are even with government institutions. We are happy to see the progress of our students. And if you pick up any randomly from our 1,700 students, you will find each one of them has made a meaningful life and has taken some learning from SSC and have moved on. The placement cell is again very well guided by Dr. Ashlesha Swaminathan for the master's program and Dr. Varun Miglani for the BSc program, along with the team of students who have been there, supporting them in every activity. Internationalization at SSC is, of course, it entails semester exchange programs. Whether our students have gone to Honshu, Bremen, Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz University and Hanover, Berlin School of Economics and Law, the DHBW Heidelstein in, then the DHBW Ravensburg. They are there in a lot of these German universities and European universities in the fourth semester for the floating credits. And this year we had a good equation with Helvin University where there were exchange of research, exchange of lectures on logistic industry and entrepreneur economic system in India between Khushbu Thadani from SSC and faculty from Helvin University. This year, Nitya Nigam did us very proud by taking part in a sponsored competition sponsored by University of Cincinnati, where she was the winner of the forecasting challenge. Nitya, we are indeed proud of you, a winner of $500 for the COVID forecasting challenge. And you were a young student of FY Bsc in that year, and you got motivated and moved on by yourself. Indeed, we are very proud of you. Khushbu Thadani takes care of internationalization at SSC, and then our enhanced engagement, be it with Niti Aayog, be it we've signed an MOU with Niti Aayog on Samavesh, where we work on area transformation, which is the areas that we are associated with also at SSC, rural and urban. The NABARD, Asia Europe Foundation, an association built up since 2015. The Directorate of Economics and Statistics, Government of Maharashtra, because we work a lot on rural and other district level studies in Maharashtra. Institute for Human Development, because we are focused on informalization of labor and everything to do with employment. Macquarie University, Center for Technology, Innovation and Economic Research, a think tank which is in Pune and having our own students working with them closely. And the list goes on with RIS, ICRIAR, UNDP, ITDP, and many, many more. Engagement to see how we could collaborate and come out with better academia, better research, better internships, and better experiences for us at SSC. And what is SSC made up of? Where do the students come from? They come from 4 continents almost: Asia, Europe, North America, Africa, 17 countries, more than 25 states, with 64% of them coming from Maharashtra, West Bengal, Uttar Pradesh, Haryana, and Delhi. 64% of our students come from here. But in our master's batch, we have a strong contingent from Kerala too. We have students from a large number of cities, and these cities are, you can take it from the A of Agartala to the S of Siliguri to the Z of Zirakpur, a small town in Mohali district. We are so happy that we are a home for people from all over the country, from small towns, metropolis, million-plus cities, and maybe villages also one day. We'll be so happy to be mentors to students from all over the country. The gender equation, the gender ratio at Symbiosis International University and SSC tells us a completely different story when we compare it with the gender gap that we see in India. India ranks 140 out of 158 in the gender gap. But at SSC, we have 57% of our students as women and girls, and 43 is the main, highly dominated by the female gender out here. And we're so happy that the story here looks so different from what we see across the country. Now, along with the academics, I think what's important is we also have co-curricular and extracurricular activities. Today is the annual day, and post my talk, there would be, and post the formal function, there would be the award-winning ceremony where all their achievements will be discussed. But we have instituted a few important events. The Suresh Tendulkar Memorial Lecture, the flagship event, The Economist of the Year since 2017. Even during this election, even during this pandemic period, we had elections of Student Council online. Entrepreneurship cell is working, and we are hoping one day we'll have great entrepreneurs also come out from here who will create jobs and not just look for jobs. 12 clubs, the institutional social responsibility initiatives of the school are very meaningful, and I will take you through this journey in my slides ahead. You can see the galaxy of speakers who have come in and spoken about on the Suresh Tendulkar Memorial Lecture. And we had this year Professor Kaushik Basu talking about 30 years of economic reforms, the reform drama, as he called it, 30 years of the economic reforms. And it was wonderful to have him there. Of course, since we are talking about the last year, we won't speak much, but Sita Prabhu also came in here, a great development economist who works on transformation. So you can see the galaxy of speakers. Some of them have been students of Professor Suresh Tendulkar. The Economist of the Year, the 4th chapter of it, or the 4th version of it, had winners from SSC, Yusuf Mustafa and Aryaman Sharma. It was in 2021 that we moved from being just a Pune-based competition to an all-India competition, a pan-India online competition, a very, very rigorous competition. And I have to share a little story with you, that this competition lasts over a month and a half, and almost 50 to 60 students work on this. They work for more than 100 hours to see that this event is realized. At the end of the event, they actually get a value-added course certificate for event management, because there's so much that goes into event management, and we know what all it takes to make an event successful. So winners for this event, Yusuf and Aryaman, a big congratulations to you. And I know that work is already on for the 5th chapter of The Economist of the Year. Through this pandemic period, it became a little easy to even have host webinars. And you can see that we've had a galaxy of speakers speaking on agricultural opportunities in COVID times, the economic stimulus given by the government, the behavioral and economic nudge by Shagata Mukherjee from MDAE, Meghna Desai Economics Academy, arranged marriage versus love marriage, going to the depths of human decision-making process by Biju Dominic, by Gautam Bambawale. He spoke on why it cannot be business as usual with China. And the list goes on. You can see even environment challenges have been covered through policy instruments for managing air quality, through Santosh Hari from CPR. So great number of people spoke, and almost every month we had someone speaking on economic reforms because of 30 years of economic reforms that happened in 2021. Moving ahead, we've had alumni and placement engagements with, it could be Shivani, Pratik, Sparsh, who come and speak to our students their journey and how to prepare for the world beyond SSC. The Student Council, extremely active, have also organized a large number of events, whether it is Kala, Sanved, a time to read, reason, and reflect, the Harry Potter and economic segregation of Muggles, something that was put up with the Center for Civil Society, the big Bull Fest, and it goes on. You can see even over here, they had a little Bollywood night, on Diwali day, so that the students under lockdown could connect with each other. And of course, the ISR activities are always ongoing because they believe that they make a difference in society. UN defines ISR or development concerns, not only that material needs have to be taken care of, but improvement in social condition of life. Therefore, development requires us not only to have economic growth, but we talk about inclusive growth. The philosophy at SSC is not about beneficiaries and targets, because that sounds like as if there are objects that you need to reach out to. We talk about participation and goal. We do not talk about beneficiaries and targets. And therefore, the philosophy has sensitized students towards various initiatives like Bhumi, involved with teaching children, Volstroy, which is a newsletter connecting NGOs, fundraising activities, and Tuk Preparatory Club, which looks into various activities of teaching students, because during the pandemic, our students could teach anywhere in their own hometown, in their own districts, in their own little towns. And I have to place on record my deep appreciation of Girish Sharma, Gauri, Juhi, and Mansi, and Shrukriti, who have all been guided very ably by Niharika Singh. The students have achieved greatly during this year. Case study competition, business conclave, mergers and acquisition based case study, a BizCon competition, the Simpulse Fest. You can see all the first winners. Somil Luthra, you've been around for in quite a few competitions. Riya Mehra, Arushi Jaitley, Ujjwal Jain, Siddharth Deshpande, Aishwarya Atiban, and Shakambari Sridhar. They actually won the national level duet dance competition, online dancing, and Nupur Patodia again got a first award for the Film and Photography Society of Ramjas College. Mansi, a big congratulations to you for taking part in the under 21 marathon race organized. And we are so happy that you secured the first prize over here. So all our prize winners, a big, big congratulations to you. This has also been supported by some of our faculty being great achievers. And we have a young social scientist in Dr. Kalyan Chankar, who got the Elizabeth Adishya Award in 2021 and a prize award of ₹1 lakh. Dr. Kalyan Chankar works on the marginalized people in society, be it the women in the red light area or be it the waste pickers from Pune. And it's his work and his work in the field. You don't find Kalyan Chankar at his desk, you find him on the move. And it's his work, this very work, which has taken him as a visiting scholar. He's been invited to Wolfson College University at Oxford as a visiting scholar. We have Krishnakant Roy, who is our tech geek out here, who was a runner-up at the Symbiosis Teaching and Learning Center competition on e-resource usage. Dr. Gargi Patil for getting her PhD in the year 2020. I personally am a member of the Forum for India Development Cooperation and was a member of the UNSCAP in helping Pune come up with what we call resilience assessment studies so that the city can prepare for a better future for its citizens in future. Dr. Niharika Singh for being the Young Research Award, for winning the Young Research Award by Institute of Scholars, and Krishnakant Roy and Tarun Khandelwal for getting the first place at the sports quiz at the Symbiosis International Deemed University. Yes, we've done this through COVID times, and we've done this through lots of other personal challenges. My mood really goes somber here when I place over here in front of you that we lost 2 faculty in this academic year. We lost Dr. Aanchal Airi, who was our student from the first batch, who dared to come and study here despite having a heart ailment, did her PhD, became an assistant professor, became a sharp researcher, but unfortunately, after giving birth to a little baby, she passed away on the 29th of December, 2020. We had Abhilash Pradhan, who was in touch with us for over a year to come in as an associate professor. 35 days into being at SSE, his dreams fulfilled of being with Symbiosis International University is unfulfilled. With his contribution to us remains a big void, and so is it for Aanchal. He just passed away when we were having a group activity in team building. These 2 events, number of our faculty have lost their spouses, has been a very, very difficult year. And maybe we have had some hits and misses, but by and large, a great year for students and faculty with the kind of team that we have. We just believe in playing the little games that I remember playing in life, the Coco of life, the game that I grew up playing, where we push each other forward, stimulating each other to move on, or the chain cook that we hold each other's hands and ensure that we have a great journey ahead despite our challenges. As we say, quality is never an accident. This is my favorite quote. It is always the result of high intention, sincere effort, intelligent direction, skillful execution, and it represents the wise choices of many alternatives. I thank you all for giving me this opportunity for presenting the report, and the onward journey continues. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. It's your sense of commitment which creates an apt platform for us to grow both mentally and spiritually. I'm sure this report has made everybody aware about our continuous efforts for the all-round development of our students as well as our institution. Thank you, ma'am, once again. It is our privilege that we have amongst us our Pro-Chancellor, Symbiosis International University, and Principal Director, Symbiosis Society, Dr. Vidya Yarwekar, whose invaluable guidance is cherished by all of us. Ma'am holds a postgraduate degree in medicine, a degree in law, and PhD in internationalization of higher education in India. She is ranked 14 amongst India's top 25 powerful women. She ensures to promote international understanding through quality education. She has brought an innovative approach at Symbiosis International Deemed University through international collaborations and with some of the top universities in the world. Ma'am has been able to influence policy regulations for promoting and bringing in innovative approaches to higher education in India through her appointments on various government bodies. Dr. Vidya has been appointed as a member of expert group on global outreach of higher education formulated by UGC to implement a National Education Policy 2020. She has been a member of University Grant Commission, Central Advisory Board of Education, and Indian Council of Cultural Relations. She is the chairperson of Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Dr. Vidya's hard work has won her numerous awards and accolades. Her continuous endeavors to innovate and initiate has helped Symbiosis to attain its present respect and admiration. May I now request Vidya ma'am to address the gathering and share your thoughts for all gathered here. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Mishra. The chief guest for this 13th annual day function of the Symbiosis School of Economics and my good friend, Ambassador Pawan Verma ji, Dr. S.B. Muzumdar, the Chancellor of this university, Dr. Rajani Gupte, the Vice Chancellor, Dr. Jyoti, the Dean of Faculty of Humanities and the Director of SSE, my dear faculty members, students, and other non-teaching staff. After an exhaustive report by Dr. Jyoti Chandiramani, I don't think I have much to say about the School of Economics. I can only say that it has been doing extremely well. We started the Symbiosis School of Economics quite on the lines of the London School of Economics, where my son studied and came back. And, at that point in time, there were a few schools of economics in our country. Of course, the Delhi School of Economics, the Madras School of Economics, and a few others. And we felt that there is a dire need for students, because many of the toppers, especially in Delhi with the high percentile of marks that they would not get into the Delhi School of Economics. And we thought, why not Symbiosis start a Symbiosis School of Economics? And on these lines, fortunately, we had Dr. Jyoti Chandiramani teaching economics at the Symbiosis College of Arts and Commerce. And we immediately requested her to join as at a leadership position here. And I think since she's taken over until date, the School of Economics is doing extremely well, which she has very widely elaborated in her talk. I must say that the students are doing extremely well, and I hear from many of my corporate friends that the students of Symbiosis School of Economics not only do well in the corporate world, but I think what they are really known for are the excellent values that have been imbibed in them, values of ethics, and more importantly, adaptability. I think that is so important when students work in the corporate life, where they adapt themselves to any kind of change. And more importantly, with this pandemic, the kind of jobs that are coming to our students are totally different from what they would have otherwise been 2 years ago. And this school, along with other schools of Symbiosis, are preparing students to face this very new normal, as we call it. So Pawan Verma, of course, being a good friend, but is an erudite speaker. And I think all of us are here to listen to him and to Dr. Muzumdar, sir. I'm very glad, Pawanji, that you accepted to be the distinguished professor and have elevated the stature of Symbiosis International University by your virtual presence. And I hope, in fact, we were very much hoping that you would be able to travel to Pune at least in the year of 2022. But I'm sure for the next academic year, we will see you on campus from June onwards more often than what we see you nowadays virtually. The wonderful course on Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam that you so well speak in every session. And now I heard that you will be also accompanied by a few more speakers. I'm going to enroll myself for this next course, which is going to start in the next few days. And I'm sure, the whole concept of the establishment of Symbiosis, which is so well, converted into an academic curriculum by you and a few other faculty members. I think this will go a long way in making our students really, truly global citizens. And I'm glad to inform you, Pawanji, that this very concept has been picked up by the University Grants Commission. They formed a committee on which I'm also there. And now they have issued a notification to all universities to include global citizenship and Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam in the curriculum of the programs, whichever programs that are run at the university. So I'm glad that you have initiated this and you're here to support us. So with these few words, I once again congratulate Jyoti and her team for the excellent work over the last 13 years. And I'm sure you'll continue to do this in years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. You have motivated us all by being a role model, leading with shared determination and self-service. Thank you once again, ma'am, for your presence. I consider it a great honor to welcome Dr. Majumdar Sir, Honorable Chancellor, Symbiosis International University. Sir is the man with a distinct vision, a visionary, a fountainhead of illuminating ideas, knowledge, and experience, and above all, a source of inspiration to all of us. Sir is the founder of Symbiosis Society. He obtained his first-class degree in MSc Botany and doctorate in microbiology. He was the head of Department of Botany, Fergusson College for 20 years. He has written many books and published several papers in national and international journals. He was also member of Executive Council of the Pune University for 9 years. He has been conferred with Padma Shri in 2005 and Padma Bhushan in 2012. Symbiosis' geographic spread is across varied campuses in Pune and even leading cities like Bangalore, Nasik, Noida, Nagpur, providing academics under 8 faculties to over 18,000 Indian and international students. The motto truly being Vasudeva Kutumbakam, and with the vision of promoting international understanding through quality education. We request Sir to share his thoughts with all of us on this occasion.
Namaste to all of you and especially to Pawan Varmaji. Thank you, sir, for sparing your time for our institute. Today's chief guest, Pawan Varma, Dr. Vidya, Dr. Gupti, Dr. Jyoti Chandramani, teaching and non-teaching staff of our institute, and my dear students. Annual day is the last activity of the year in a particular institution or college. And I'm sure after this annual day, some of the student Jyoti of your institute will pass out from your institution and new students will also come in. In fact, annual day, otherwise, would have been a day to rejoice, joyful day to celebrate. But unfortunately, because of pandemic, we could not do it. And yet, I'm glad, Dr. Jyoti Chandramani, that in spite of pandemic, your institution has done wonderfully well. I was carefully listening to your annual report, and I must congratulate you for your leadership and for your ways, finding out ways and means to overcome the hurdles which Corona might have put in. Well, be that as it may, these 2 years were very bad years. It has destroyed economy, education, environment. In fact, Corona has affected every human activity in different fields. But very often, probably I am very optimistic, and very often I see opportunity in calamity. Corona has also taught us some lessons. For example, importance of family and relationship, importance of health and immunity. But to me, one big lesson, most important lesson which Corona has taught to humanity is, Corona has told us that you alone are not safe unless people around you are safe. And therefore, togetherness is a big lesson which humanity has learned during pandemic. And I'm very happy In fact, all of us should be delighted to know that in the development of vaccine, scientists from different parts of the world, different countries came together and they developed various types of vaccines. So that underlines a very important lesson which Corona told us, and that is you are interdependent. Coexistence, interdependence are the best assets of very existence of humanity. And therefore, that takes me closer to our motto, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Just as individual is not totally independent. Similarly, no nation can claim to be totally independent, isolated. No nation can say that irrespective of what is happening in other countries, I will remain on my own. So there are many global problems which no single nation is able to solve. Take, for example, nuclear war, technological disruption, or for that matter, your climate change, most important global problem that we face is climate change. These three important global problems require nations to come to the togetherness of different nations. And therefore, Corona has underlined the fact that unless countries come together, unless people living in different places, different countries come together, it will not be problem. It will not be possible to solve the global problem. Be that as it may, economy and ecology are going to play a big role in shaping the future of our world, in shaping the future of our country. And I'm glad that your chief guest is precisely going to speak on this particular topic. I would like to congratulate all students who have won the prizes, students who have made a mark for themselves and for the college. And I'm also thankful to the staff members who have worked hard even during the pandemic to make the year an eventful year. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, sir, for being our guru, sharing your thoughts and invaluable insights. I'm sure your words have given us motivation to be optimistic in these tough times. On behalf of the students, faculty, and staff, I cordially welcome our chief guest, Sri Pawan K. Verma, sir, former ambassador and our distinguished professor at Symbiosis International University under the Faculty of Humanities and Social Science. Sir has played many roles in his lifetime: a writer, a diplomat, a politician, and a great thinker. He has been ambassador in several countries, including Bhutan, director of Nehru Center in London, official spokesperson of the Ministry of External Affairs, Director General ICCR, and press secretary to the President of India. Earlier, member of Parliament in Rajya Sabha, advisor to Chief Minister of Bihar, and the National General Secretary of the JDU. Currently, he is the National Vice President of All India Trinamool Congress, author of over 13 best-selling books, including Ghalib the Men, The Great Indian Middle Class, Being Indian, Becoming Indian, and Chanakya's New Manifesto. Sir was conferred an honorary doctorate degree for his contribution to the fields of diplomacy, literature, culture, and aesthetic by the University of Indianapolis in 2005. In 2018, he was conferred an honorary doctorate degree by Sri Sharda Institute of Indian Management for his book, Adi Shankaracharya, Hinduism's Greatest Thinker. The book has also won the Atagalata Bangalore Literature Festival Prize for the Best Book of Nonfiction for the year 2018. In 2012, he was conferred Bhutan's highest civilian award, the Durkturski, by His Majesty, the King of Bhutan. He has received the Kalinga International Literary Award 2019. His latest book is The Great Hindu Civilization, Achievement, Neglect, Bias, and the Way Forward. This book was discussed in Symbiosis Literary Festival in November 2021. It is a matter of great honor and privilege for Symbiosis School of Economics to have your prestigious presence on the occasion of 13th Annual Day program. I hereby invite you, sir, to kindly address our audience. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Mishra, for that gracious introduction. Dr. Majumdar, the erudite, visionary, and pioneering Chancellor of SIU. Dr. Vidya Yeravatkar, who is a great educationist, but also a personal friend. Dr. Rajni Gupte, the Vice Chancellor. Professor Jyoti Chandiramani, the director of the Symbiosis School of Economics, who has been in touch with me for today's function, and the students and members of the faculty of the SSE. Let me begin by saying how honored and privileged I am for this opportunity to share some thoughts with you on a subject which is both theoretical and touches our lives directly, including in the nature of how we see ourselves in the next decade. It's important. It's much too exhaustive a subject. I am not an economist, and yet I am an observer of society, so my contribution today would be to share some broad concepts and thoughts with you. I've been very impressed by the report presented by Professor Chandiramani on how much the SSC has been able to achieve building upon its previous track record in spite of the constraints of the pandemic. And I am glad that this today ranks among the most distinguished faculties of economy on the economy, and I wish to congratulate you, Jyoti ji, and your faculty, and of course, your students. So the subject for today, the future of political economy. I want you to think with me, I'm addressing myself to the students, because there is a theoretical knowledge of economics and there is a knowledge of economics in the context of society. And we as educated and thinking individuals must interface with the real world in order to best navigate and chart out our own perspective, our vision for the future. So what is the purpose of polities? The purpose of a polity, professed or actual, is to work for the welfare of the people. That goal is sometimes fulfilled, partially fulfilled, inadequately fulfilled, usually work in progress. And this has been the professed aims of most polities in order to provide the raison d'etre, the justification for their ability or claim to be in power ruling you. As far back as the Mahabharata, in the Shanti Parv, I'm just giving you an example that is the aim. The Shanti Parv in the Mahabharata says about the king, it says, the interest of his subjects is his sole interest. Their well-being, his well-being. What is pleasing to them is pleasing to him. And in their good lies his own good. Everything that he has is for their sake. For his own sake, he has nothing. Now, it's an enunciation of principle in the Mahabharata. The Earth Shastra, all of you are economists, you would have heard of the Earth Shastra. The Earth Shastra is equally categorical. It says, the king, in the happiness of his subjects, please mark my words, because we are talking of what was stated millennia ago. In the happiness of his subjects lies the king's happiness. In the welfare of his subjects, his welfare. The king's good is not that which pleases him, but that which pleases his subjects. So, in other words, polities work for the welfare of the people, and the only disjoint occurs when between their professed aims their delivery is short. And there are two aspects here. One is the conferment of rights on citizens. As a citizen, you have rights. And the second is the access to you with those rights of equal opportunity. Now, rights versus opportunity. Try to follow this dialectic. There are many political systems which can govern you. I have been a personal witness to totalitarian communist regimes in my earlier career as a diplomat. I was posted in Bulgaria, in Romania, in Moscow. At the height of the communist regimes, where a group of people arrogated to themselves, without democratic accountability, the right to work for the welfare of the people as defined by them. And such regimes, when they unravel very quickly. Majumdar Sahab, I have been, for instance, I watched the disintegration of the Soviet Union. Because totalitarian regimes can normally not sustain tinkering and tampering with the system. So Gorbachev tried a bit of perestroika, opening up, a bit of glasnost, opening up. And the entire system careened out of control. And so you had a country which became 13 countries. Democracy, in my view, although it has many shortcomings, among the systems available to us, we just discussed in passing the communist system, there are dictatorships and other forms of polity, but democracy, to my mind, at least in our context, is perhaps the most enduring system, the most legitimate system by which those who govern you govern you with your consent. And there is an institutional process by which that consent is obtained, which are democratic elections. Now, what we have to see in the functioning of a democracy, I'll just close the air conditioning, Jyoti. What we have to see in the functioning of a democracy is the degree of compatibility between the theoretical rights conferred on you as a member of that democracy and the degree of opportunity that theoretical right actually gives to you. That is where the contradiction arises. In a country like India, theoretically, as guaranteed by the Constitution, we all have equal rights. Theoretically, we should all have equal opportunity. But in practice, while we have our theoretical rights which are justiciable, if violated, opportunities are not equal. And that is where the political economy begins to take shape. Opportunities are not available. And the degree of disfunct between right and opportunity influences the nature of the political economy. Stable, equitable, volatile, fragile, satisfactory, brittle. That is how we are able to see whether in a particular democracy where rights are guaranteed, do opportunity, the rights of opportunities also follow. Now, India as a country inherited intrinsic inequality post the colonial period. Some of you are aware that prior to the coming of the British, there was poverty, but India was contributing something in the nature of 23 or 24% of global GDP. By the time the British left, it was below 1%. And there was extreme and pervasive poverty. That is the legacy of history. एक जमाने में हम सोने की चिड़िया थे. At one time we were indeed the gilded golden bird in terms of our fabled wealth, but what we inherited in 1947 was a highly unequal society, which had at the same time had the audacity to become the world's newest democracy. So an unequal society resolves to become a democratic society, which in theory is an egalitarian society, where the inequalities are leveled. But have we been able to achieve that? These are things that we should think about. It's not as if the state has not made the attempt. The state has made efforts. We are familiar, if you are a historical economist, there was the Zamindari Abolition Act. There were attempts of land redistribution. There was affirmative action. Even prior to Mandal Commission, before the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, post Mandal for the other backward classes, and so on and so forth, and an entire class of actions taken by the state as part of affirmative action. There were welfare measures where the state endeavored to give disproportionately to the poorer sections of society. In more recent time, there have been the instruments of taxation, monetary instrumentalities by which you, within the realm of law, take disproportionately from the rich in order to be able to provide better services and more services to the poor. There have been schemes, as you are all aware, in more recent times of direct benefit transfer, of Manrega, of uh, welfare schemes like Ujjavala, and the building of toilets and so on and so forth. All of these are part of the benevolent state, aware of the intrinsic inequality of society, trying to bridge the gap between rights and opportunity. Now, essentially, we need to go into how much that inequality ratio will affect the polity that we ideally are committed to follow. So let us take a few examples. Now, in agriculture, you're all students of economics, so you know more than me. I'm going to broad brush over, give you a larger landscape. You know the endemic problem of landless labor. You are aware of the degree of underemployment. Now, if people are unemployed or underemployed in that sector which employs or is supposed to employ the largest segment of the population, somewhere close to 60%, how do you provide jobs for those coming out of agriculture? So, one of the ways is to expand the manufacturing sector. As you are again aware, one of the goals was that the manufacturing sector will account for 25% of the economy by the year 2025. It is far from fulfilled. So we have in the largest segment of our society, which is the agricultural sector, we have a very large number of those who are either landless labor, often outside the ambit of minimum wages of labor law also. A large number of the unemployed and the underemployed, with fewer outlets to be able to escape the vicious cycle of unemployment. There is also a problem, and you all will probably understand this better. The structure of our economy is somewhat lopsided. I mean, agriculture accounts for 60% of the people, but contributes only some 14% to the economy. Manufacturing contributes 16, 17%. Figures vary. You are the authorities. The services sector is the largest, between 60 to 70%. But the services sector, while dynamic in its growth, is not a great employer. It creates peripheral jobs, including in the sometimes in the less skilled sector, but it's not a great employer. So where do we find remunerative employment which provides dignity to a citizen in his or her personal capacity, in a polity which is a democracy, which promises to you theoretically equal rights. This is the paradigm before us on which we need to think as students. And there are areas of growing inequality. Now, when I say this, I do not wish to undermine for a moment the great progress we've made. To be able to remain a democracy, please see history. Very few countries that started on the democratic path as newly independent countries in the in the 1940s and 50s retained their democratic framework. India did. And with that democracy to continue to pursue the path of economic development is not easy. And yet, in spite of those achievements, there are areas of great inequality which we need to think about. According to some statistics, again, I'm subject to correction, that 1% of this country has as much as 73% of national wealth. We can speak of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, but if the world is a family, can it sustain this degree of inequality? We could be part of one family, but have we been able to ensure the well-being of each member of that family? These are questions that we should ask. We still have, unfortunately, in spite of sincere effort to the contrary, by all governments, we have the largest number of the unacceptably poor in the world, in absolute numbers. We have the largest number of malnutrition children in the world. We have the largest number of people who cannot read and write in the world. And we are the world's largest democracy. This is the dilemma that India has to resolve with commitment, sincerity, and passion in the years and decades to come. Before the system cracks, democracy makes everyone a stakeholder. And yet, economic inequality puts stress and strain on that system. And we need to think about post-COVID. And these years have been challenging for us. I mean, in between 2020 and 21, according to the Pew Index or research, you can check it out also, the numbers of the middle class have shrunk by 30%, from 99 million to 66 million. According to the same survey, between 2020 and 21, the number of the absolutely poor, those who earn less than $2 per day, has gone up from 59 million to 134 million. We are today in a situation where, in spite of certain identifiable achievements, especially in the making of a digital India, reforms in certain laws like RERA, insolvency, in spite of that, today unemployment is at a 45-year high. You have inflation, and my good friend Nirmala Sitharaman ji and I chat often, and she's doing her best to try and contain it, but the wholesale price index is at 12%, which is a decade high. So prices are going up, unemployment has increased. The middle class, which is the engine of growth, and I have written a book on the great Indian middle class, is shrinking for lack of purchasing power. And you have the number of the absolute poor growing because GDP rates went into minus. We are coming out of it, hopefully, if COVID gives us a break. But even today, by absolute standards of the past, if you take the decade of 1991 to 2000, GDP rates are lower, and it's very important in a situation of inequality for GDP rates to be high. You know, after the economic reforms of 1991, where GDP rates continued to maintain a high of 8 to 9% annually, more people were redeemed from below the poverty line than in 3 decades of socialism. I am not passing a stricture on socialism. I'm saying when we opened up the economy, when we liberalized the economy, more people were redeemed from below the poverty line. So we need high growth rates. And otherwise we have growth without employment. And that is a danger because capital, those who have capital, let us take the very top crust of corporate India. They have capital. They invest in technology, cutting edge technology, which delivers better but employs less. Whereas one of the great problems of India is to find labor intensive avenues of employment also. So technology is a plus, and technology sometimes is socially less than a plus. How do we balance these things in our head? We have to think. I want the students to, as they deal with theoretical economics, to see the dynamics of society. So we have not yet reformed our labor laws. So corporate India tends to try to produce to the optimum without the burden of the employment of a great many people, whereas the social imperative is for people to find employment to get out of the vicious cycle of poverty. How do we reconcile this? These are interesting questions before us. When we speak of the political economy, there is the corporate level of the economy where at one level, in spite of COVID, their wealth has increased. And then there is the MSME sector, which has been very badly hit. And below that, the unorganized sector. That's amazing. Some of you students should study this area. The unorganized sector of India, who are not part of any statistic, who sell chai, who live in the crevices of the city, eking out a living from day to day. When the COVID crisis came upon it, what did the migration of migrant labor showed us? From the underbelly of the city, people came out without a social security net, without guaranteed jobs, without secure jobs, fragile, on the precipice of being employed or unemployed. And they migrated and they were there in their millions walking the streets. That is the unorganized sector. So it's a large area that we need to look at when we, I mean, income tax in our country is paid by a couple of million people. In a country of 1.3 billion people, that's another indicator of inequalities within society. So what do we need to reconcile? Now, on the one hand, you have you have economic hurt in spite of great progress, economic hurt. On the other hand, there is the imperative of winning democratically political elections. Now, in a democracy, in a political economy, no aspirant to political power can indefinitely ignore large and festering stratas of discontent within society, because otherwise the catchment area of votes dries up. So the political aspirant has to somehow match his constituencies, economic and other discontents. And that is the dilemma we are going to see between now and 2030. Can this great democracy of ours, in which I have great hope, I am in politics and public life because of that, irrespective of ideology, can we sustain that? Can we rise to the challenge between this aspiration to political power and short-term electoral dividends or gain, and long-term and enduring solutions to some of the economic inequalities of society? That is the question that we need to think about. And sometimes what happens is, when you find that you don't have solutions which are to the satisfaction of those who are seeking a better life within a democracy, you try to deflect their attention politically. So it could be caste, it could be regional chauvinisms, it could be polarization on the grounds of religion, emotive issue. It could be hyper nationalism, hype up the whole sense of India under siege, and for security reasons, whatever your condition, we will vote for party A or B. So these become, within a political economy, stratagems to deflect attention from the real issues in a transitory way until political dividends are obtained. Election ho jaye, phir dekh le. So we have to be observers. We have to be insightful observers of what is happening in order to understand what is happening under the skin of the political economy. So I have raised issues for you to think about. And I will end here by saying to you, I genuinely, I say to you, I'm proud of our vibrant democracy. Ultimately, democracy, in spite of its many faults, is the best instrument even to deal with the dilemma between rights and the inequalities of society. But we must have a role as citizens. We have to be sensitive citizens, committed to larger causes of the overall well-being of our country. Because remember, no one part of the country, however well it is doing, can secede to become another nation. All of us have to live together. Jeena yahan, marna yahan. Iske siva jana kahan. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your great knowledge with us on the political economy of India. I'm sure our young minds have many takeaways from your address. Especially, you have given us a new perspective of research. Knowledge, learning, thinking, and asking critical questions are crucial for a meaningful educational journey. With this very objective in mind, I invite Dr. Deepa Gupta to moderate the question answer session between the audience and Sri Pawan Verma ji, sir. Over to you, Deepa ma'am.
Thank you, Aditi. sir, it was such an insightful lecture. I have got loads of questions and I'll have to choose out of them for the paucity of time. So can I request Himanshu to put up his question, please? Himanshu, could you please put on your video and ask the question? Himanshu, are you there or should I ask on your behalf?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm there.
Sure.
I have quite a few questions, sir, so this is going to take a while. I've tried to turn on video as well.
Yes, Himanshu, you are
Am I
here.
audible, visible? Can someone
Yes.
confirm?
Yes.
Yes.
You can put your hand
So,
up.
yeah. So, sir, you serve the IFS quite well from what I can gauge. Bulgaria, Romania, Moscow, that was all Cold War heights. And you've probably interacted or been in touch with Gorbachev, Clinton, Ronald Reagan, all very exciting figures. And there must have been airports, hotels, world-class exposure. What's not to love? So, what led to you joining the Indian political system with Nitish, sir? Was it something beyond making India the golden chiriya again? Was it something beyond having those global standards of growth through growth with employment and executing LPG properly, because clearly it was a rushed effort, and having those global indicators? Barring this, sir, I have two more questions, so you can answer this one first. So what led
I
to this
will,
shift
I
in
will
politics?
answer questions. I know we are all short of time, as succinctly as possible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I greatly enjoyed my diplomatic career, and I had an opportunity of serving not only in Moscow, New York, and London, and our neighboring country, Bhutan, and so on and so forth. It's very
Yes, sir.
rewarding experience. At the same time, in each of our heads, there is an idea of India which you want to contribute to. You can do it through academics or diplomacy. In my mind, I wanted to do it through public life. It provided me, I thought, and I think, a wider platform, greater freedoms, without the
That's fair, sir.
constraint of the bureaucratic framework. So I opted to do so. And I joined Nitish Kumar because I felt he had a genuine claimant to becoming a national leader. Somewhere in my view, that dream
Fair,
fell
fair.
short, but it was a sincere effort. Next question.
Fair, sir. That's a very fair assessment, given that Ghar Ki Murgi Da Dal Barabar. But what is your advice for young budding policymakers in India? So,
You must become stakeholders in the real India. There are not two Indias. We are all beneficiaries of a certain part of it. But ultimately, our well-being lies in the well-being of the whole. And therefore, you must be, as policymakers, you must be sensitive citizens, aware of what India is about and what needs to change within it. This escape
Yes, sir.
mechanism beyond a point is not sustainable.
yes, sir. Fair. That's a very fair assessment again. And so lastly, it's a request. We have Economist of the Year being held every year. So we'll have it this year as well, where thousands of students across India internationally participate to win the titles. So we would love for you to come and judge the event in March, sir. So it's a request
I
from
have
our
been
side.
wanting to come to Symbiosis physically,
Yes, sir.
and Vidya ji has been inviting me and other members of the faculty. But somehow this COVID has prevented me. So on the first opportunity, I'm going to come, and I'll be very happy to meet you all and participate
Yes,
in whatever
sir.
you ask me to.
Yes,
Sir,
sir.
we'll be
Thank you
happy
so
to
much.
be your host, sir. We'll be happy.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Himanshu. Now, may I invite Aman Preet to ask his question, please? Aman Preet, your question on consolidation of lobbying and of the corporates and all that.
Thank you, ma'am. Very good afternoon to everyone present in the webinar. Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your experience, thoughts full of knowledge about the future of political economy of India. So my question revolves around the consolidation of the lobbying power of the corporates that are significantly reducing the gap between public and private interests. So in your opinion, are we required to redefine the difference between equity and equality at present for the corporates, which can help us channel the growth of economy? Or do you think that we are already on the right track as we are moving along? Thank you, sir.
You know, all economies tend to develop cartelization, where certain disproportionately powerful individuals, in this case in the economy, try to play a disproportionately larger role in the making of policy and in the reaping of benefits. Now, what does the democracy seek to do? It seeks to prevent such monopolies from growing. Uh, Institutional structures and laws prevent that. Democratization of economic functioning with greater transparency is the other great antidote. The more you have the democratic intervention of technology, whereby, irrespective of who you are, there has to be a transparent process by which economic gain is pursued or economic goals achieved. It prevents the growth of lobbies because it puts everything under the sun, which is a great disinfectant. That process needs to grow.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir. Another question from Rigved. Rigved Pimpalkar from second year batch.
What an interesting name.
Rigved Pimpalkar, sir. He is our second year student. Rigved, are you there, or on your behalf, could I ask your question? Yeah, here he is.
Rigved, you're muted.
Unmute yourself.
And put your volume high.
You're still not audible, Rigved.
We can move on to the next.
Okay. Can I ask Rigved's question on his behalf, because he had written to me? So
Please.
his question, he looked at your last interview with Mr. Karan Thapar. Okay, and he says that in that you had mentioned that Hindutva needs to be replaced with Hindu Satya. So could you please throw some light on this statement, and how do you think that the current government could, be aligned? Could align its reforms in on this light.
Rigved, this particular subject can be the subject of a series of lectures. But let me sum it up, and I've given many of them, and many of them are on YouTube. The latest issue of India Today has a column by me on this subject, and so on and so forth. Essentially, Hinduism is a self-assured Sanatani river flowing down from the dawn of time. Inclusive, tolerant, accommodating of diversities. Udara Charitanam Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, one of its Mahavakyas. Ekam Sat Vipraha Bahuda Vadanti. Truth is one, wise people call it by different names. Ano Bhadraha Kritavo Yantu Vishvata. Let good thoughts flow to me from all directions. This is Hinduism. And Hindutva, to my mind, especially political Hindutva, is a narrow tributary emanating from this self-assured grand river. And that narrow tributary is often full of exclusion, of bigotry, of hatred and violence. So it's a distortion of that Hinduism. You cannot convert Hinduism into a Wahhabi-like faith. Its reason for its survival, the reason for its tensile strength is that it is a religion which is non-prescriptive and profound in its philosophy. That is why it has survived. So we need to make that distinction.
Rigved, can you unmute yourself?
Hindu, sorry, I'll just finish this. Hindu
Sure.
Satya is about Hindus once again appropriating that Hindu space and challenging those who says, I know what is Hinduism and I will tell you what to do. And appropriation of space requires a minimum effort at least to acquire some knowledge about your faith and its grandeur. Otherwise, we live always on the surface of things. So that is Satya. We have to reappropriate our Hinduism today in the light of the challenges. And the second thing is, Hinduism must reflect upon, introspect upon the need for internal reform. Where do you have a religion where religion is used to sanctify the kind of inequality in our society, the kind of gender bias which is carried out in the name of religion? Swami Vivekananda, Ambedkar, Jyotibai Phule, Mahatma Gandhi, all our great thinkers have talked about reform of Hinduism. Even Veer Savarkar, much more important than his polemic, 3-page polemic on Hindutva, wrote about social reform within Hinduism. That is the Hindu Satya we have to pursue.
Rigved, you're not audible, beta. Okay. So thank you, sir. Thanks for your, can I take one or two more questions if you have some?
You know, I am all right, but I think Dr. Majumdar is getting tired by now.
Okay. Okay. Can I ask at least one last question, sir?
Yes, of course, of course.
Okay. So could I ask Dhimant to please unmute himself and ask his question? Dhimant, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Can you see me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Thank you, sir, for such an insightful lecture. My question is that historically, the formation of Indian policies and governance has been deeply influenced by political situation and emotional sentiment of the people, in contrast to the evidence-based research that we have been witnessing, especially in the Western countries. Why is it so?
All democracies, Dhiman, often tend, at least politicians do, to raise emotive issues in order to increase their short-term political attractability. It's a given. It's not that we are unique. You see that in other democracies also. I would like, Dhiman, that the phase between 2022 and 2030 is where far more effectively the Indian citizen asserts himself or herself and says, yes, I am a stakeholder in your democracy. And for me, more important than your seductive emotional attempt are the real issues that we need to resolve in our polity and in our economy. And unless you do that, even our democracy will be under stress.
Thank you, sir. Can I take one last question? Just one last question.
Yes.
Okay, so there is, it's a new fresher student, so I can't deny him. Revant, can I ask you to please unmute yourself and ask your question, please? Revant, are you there?
Am I visible, ma'am?
Yes.
Yes. So my question is, did these government's policies increase the inequality in India in any way? If yes, can you shed some light on it? Income inequality, consumption inequality in India.
I don't think governments follow policies to increase inequality, although that may occasionally be the collateral net result of a particular policy. Governments also respond to pressures within society. One pressure is of the powerful, one pressure is of the deprived. Governments have to make choices. It's a cake. Everybody wants a piece of it. The political economy, imagine it in your head as a cake. Everybody wants a piece of it. In the last days of the Mughal Empire, they used to have a saying. When everything was downhill, they used to say, Yak anar sad bimar. One pomegranate, 100 ill men. Who will get what share? Politics about these choices. But any politics or political policy which continues without end to increase inequality at the economic level in society is in peril. You are inviting a challenge to your democratic credentials. That is why I spoke today. Please learn now, as citizens of the world's largest democracy, to balance your rights with the deprivations in society. These are an important point for us to note as citizens of such an esteemed university.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time and your patience. Aditi, can I request you to please go ahead with the proceedings?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am, for coordinating the question answer session with us. Before we move forward to the next segment of our program, the award segment, I request everyone present to put on their cameras and we can capture this memorable moment. I request the IT department to click our picture, and I request all the dignitaries present to please on their cameras.
Continue.
Thank you, everyone. We are all here to witness the achievement of our bright young students who will write them.
May I just come in for a minute?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Mujumdar, with your permission, Dr. Chandramani, may I take my leave now?
Please. Thank you.
Aditi,
Thank you.
sir, we take this opportunity to thank you for spending an hour and a half on a busy day, being with us from 12 o'clock. Exactly speaking the political economy of India, the way probably some of us write it in research and, talk about inequalities, the way we've actually worked about it. I think the SDGs is what we look at as a mantra at SSC. And I'm sure we'd be happy to have you here in person one day, and we can have cups of tea and coffee and debate on the political economy.
I would really look forward to that. And thank you again for this opportunity. And once again, congratulations on your 13th annual. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
We all are here to witness the achievement of our bright young students who will write for themselves and for Symbiosis School of Economics a new chapter in the years to come. It is the time to recognize their contributions and motivate them for their onward journey. Request the program in charge for BSc, Dr. Niharika Singh, and program in charge MSc, Dr. Ishita Ghosh, to announce the various awards. Over to you, Dr. Niharika and Dr. Ishita.
Thank you, Dr. Aditi. A very good afternoon to all of you. We come here to the most awaited section by the students, that is the awards distributed for various academics, curricular and co-curricular services. I will share the screen. despite the pandemic, the students have been really cooperative and very active. They have contributed throughout the year, despite a lot of constraints from the government and our part. We know the life that we have been facing through the pandemic with a lot of restrictions, constraints. But here we move ahead with a lot of good things coming up from the student sides and the rewards and awards the students will be getting. To start with, we will start with the BSc awards. We will simultaneously announce the MSc awards. We will start with the most distinguished alumni of the year award, which goes to Mr. Krishnan Sasikumar. He's from the batch 2008-11. Krishnan is a postdoctoral researcher at Dublin City University. There he completed his PhD in 2020, working on public spaces and political culture in 20th century in Kerala. He is a founding editor of Ala, a monthly online publication on Kerala, and an early career advisor at City Space Architecture. In the past, he has worked on a Bill Gates Foundation project in India and was a visiting researcher at the University of Witwatersrand in Johannesburg. After finishing his BSc in economics at SSC, he went to do a master's in development studies at Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai, and a second master's in international political economy at King's College London before moving to Dublin. He's currently working on his monograph and a photography project, and his research interests include modernity, social spaces, and political culture. Krishnan's bylines have appeared in News Laundry, The News Minutes, and Kafila. Many congratulations, Mr. Krishnan Sasikumar, and I hereby request you to please come and take your speech of acceptance for this award. Over to you, please.
Yeah, hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes, please
Yes,
go ahead.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I'll be very brief because I've been asked to be quite brief. Firstly, I'd like to thank SSC Jyoti ma'am for getting in touch. And it was very, very nice to listen to Shri Pawan Verma, who's left now. But I think the more we listen, the more we read and follow the trajectory of India in the last decade or so, the more important it becomes to understand what he was saying about the importance of democracy and how you can only have a sustainable economy if you have a sustainable political structure. Having said that, thank you. I am deeply humbled and very, very honored to receive this, especially a decade after I've moved out. And I'm sure it wasn't easy considering the wide range of things that everyone from my batch have gone on to do once we finished. I remember walking into SSC first when the building was still under construction. So I'm sure from there to everything that we've seen today that Jyoti ma'am has shared, it was definitely a journey that should make any of us proud. And I'm sure it has come with the support of Dr. Majumdar, Dr. Vidya, Deepa ma'am, who was former director before, the teaching, non-teaching staff. It's nice to see a lot of familiar faces, Ishita ma'am, Deepa ma'am, KKR, Kushbu ma'am, Sushma ma'am, but also Simi ma'am, Sarika, and Shilpi. I don't know if I've missed anyone out from the time I was there, but if I have, then I'm sorry. But so nice to see many familiar faces. Even nicer to see a lot of new faces. Many of you who I'm sure will go on to do absolutely amazing things, and I can't look forward. I can't say this enough. Thank you so much. I don't want to keep going on because I know we're short of time, but thank you very much. And I hope to live up to the institution's repute and expectations in my future endeavors as well. Thank you again. And I'm very honored to receive this award today.
If I may come in here, a big congratulations to you, Hari. And I think Niharika will be in touch with you for you to come and give a talk on the political economy, because I think you've done your further education in that, and that would just be the right point for us to take forward from here.
Absolutely. I'd be
look forward
honored.
to your contribution to SSC.
Sure, I'd be honored. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Mr. Krishnan. And We'll be looking forward to your contribution to our classes, lectures, and so on. Moving ahead. We go ahead with the BSc Academics Award, the first rank holder for semester 1, as well as the Excellence Award for the best debater from the DebSoc Society goes to Ms. Joseph Priya Anjofi of batch 2023. The first rank holder for semester 2 from batch 2023 is Preksha Jain. The first rank holder for semester 3 batch 1922 is Namirian Zarius Firdaus. The first rank holder for semester 4, batch 1922 goes to Mr. Girish Sharma. First rank holder for semester 5 and 6, both, as well as the award for batch topper and best dissertation goes to Ms. Indira Srinivasan.
For the MSc Awards, rank holder semesters 1 and 2 MSc Economics batch 2022 goes to Sakshi Sabnani. Congratulations. The first rank holder semester 3 Development Studies MSc Economics 2019-21 goes to Gayatri Naik. The first rank holder semester 3 International Trade MSc Economics batch 1921 goes to Nidhi Menon. The first rank holder semester 3 and topper of Urban Development MSc Economics batch 1921 goes to Muskan Varma. First rank holder semester 3 Finance MSc Economics batch 1921 goes to Sayoni Balyar Singh. First rank holder semester 4 topper Development Studies MSc Economics batch 1921 goes to Suchika Gupta. First rank holder semester 4 International Trade MSc Economics batch 1921 goes to Swati Varma. First rank holder semester 4 Urban Development MSc Economics batch 1921 goes to Rahul Das. First rank holder semester 4 MSc Economics batch 1921, who is also the batch topper and the topper in her specialization, that is finance, goes to Kratika Agarwal. MSc Economics batch 1921, the best dissertation award goes to Ria Grace Matthew.
From academics, we move ahead to the extracurricular activities. For the Arthaniti Club, which is the writing club, the Excellence Award for Best Academic Writer and contribution towards institutional building, being the class representative and helping the coordinators, being the bridge between the academics, the administration, the students, and the faculty goes to Ms. Pia Barve. Excellence Award for Synergy for the Best Dancer goes to Manvi Kedia of batch 1821. Excellence Award for Epilogue for the Best Creative Writer goes to Mr. Nitesh Chauhan of batch 2023. Excellence Award for Investors Club goes to Mr. Rigved Pimpalkar, batch 2023. Excellence Award for Raga, which is a multi-genre music club, for Best Musician goes to Anupama Warrior. Excellence Award Club Kodak for the Best Photographer goes to Divyam Arora. Excellence Award for MUN for the Best MUNer goes to Mr. Sagar Suresh. Excellence Award in Quiz Club goes to Mr. Omkar Arora. Excellence Award for Samarpan, that is the Best Social Worker Award, goes to Ms. Juhi Chandan. Excellence Award from the IT Club goes to Mr. Somil Luthra. Excellence Award for from the Student Research Cell, as well as the Best Researcher and the winner of our flagship event, that is Economist of the Year Award, goes to Mohammad Yusuf Mustaf of batch 2023. Excellence Award for Streetlights Club. For the best actor goes to Miss Sailshri Chaudhary. Excellence Award for Kalakriti, which is the Creative and Visual Arts Club, goes to Miss Sanskriti Garg. Excellence Award for Meraki, which is the Literature and Media Club, goes to Miss Soumya Kaushik. Excellence Award for Gender Cell goes to Miss Jia Ghosh, who has been one of the pioneers in coming up with more inclusion in the gender cell by forming the LGBTQ cell under the gender cell. Excellence Award from the EOTY cell goes to Mr. Dhimant Jain. Excellence Award from the Small Talk Club, which is the events organizing club, goes to K. Advaita and Sanika Rohankar.
The MSc Economics Extracurricular Award, the Award of Excellence for the Synergy Club, that is the best dancer, goes to Mrunmay Thatte. Congratulations, Mrunmay. The Excellence Award for Club Kodak, which is for the best photographer, goes to Nilina R. Congratulations again.
Coming to the Sports Award, the only sports award we could think of during the pandemic was the Best Chess Player of the Year. And Mr. Siddharth Deshpande has been the winner of the Best Chess Player of the Year. Congratulations, Siddharth. The contribution towards institutional building by the class representatives cannot be ignored, and thereby the award for institutional building goes to Mitul Wankhede and Saubhagya Gupta from batch 1821.
For the MSc, the contribution towards institution building is accredited to Gayatri Naik for development studies, Soumya Pal for development studies, Hetvi Chheda for urban development, Shomona Ghosh for urban development, Shraddha Srivastav for international trade, Aratrika Deb for international trade, Madhuri Daga for finance, and Akash Sikdar for finance. Congratulations, all of you.
Moving on to the special awards section. The Director's Special Recognition Award goes to two of the students of batch 1821, Miss Riya Gupta for getting the highest package offered by the Shaw, which was 19 lakhs, which is a very, very important landmark in raising the bar of the placement cell at SSC. And Miss Angela Kaur, who despite the pandemic, despite a lot of constraint where she and everyone in her family suffered from COVID, despite all of that, she presented her work, her dissertation, all her examinations on time, and she did a brilliant work in that. Congratulations, Riya and Angela. The Outstanding Student of the Year award goes to Mr. Pranav Munot. Pranav has worked during the pandemic with the transgender community. Apart from working in academics and presenting all his work on time, Pranav has also been one of the most important and a keen entrepreneur. He's successfully co-established a food venture, a home-run bakery that grew multifold within just half a year. He's also worked hard for making this venture very successful during the college fest and even otherwise. It's very popular among the students as well as the faculty. Many congratulations, Pranav.
The special awards for MSc Economics goes to the Outstanding Student of the Year, Topper International Trade 2019-21, Aratrika Deb. Congratulations, Aratrika. Aratrika has been a consistent performer like many of her peers and has excelled in academics, as you can see. However, she has had a publication in a Scopus Index journal, which was very well received, and that is no ordinary achievement. That is fantastic, Aratrika. Kudos to you. The Director Special Recognition Award goes to Mayuk Sen. Mayuk has been the president of the Student Council of the MSc Student Council and has served as the advocate for the student body. He has also seamlessly carried out administrative duties related to the day-to-day leadership with respect to the Student Council. Amiable and always poised, leading by example, Mayuk has excelled in academics as well. He has also been the face of SSC for the potential candidates for the MSc program. We acknowledge your contributions, Mayuk, and heartily congratulate you for your achievements and contributions. All the very best.
Thank you and many
I congratulate and
all
wish
the winners.
all the graduates a bright future. You have made, keep that up.
Many congratulations and thank you. I would now request Dr. Aditi to please continue.
Thank you, Dr. Niharika and Dr. Ishita. I'm sure everyone will grow up to achieve success and will help in contributing to the betterment of the society. Once again, congratulations to all the winners. Before we move forward for the vote of thanks, I once again request everyone present to put on their cameras and we can capture this moment with our distinguished alumni and the winners.
Yes, Aditi, we can move.
Thank you. Now, may I request and invite Dr. Suchi Mishra to propose the vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Aditi. On behalf of Symbiosis School of Economics, I feel honored to propose the vote of thanks today. I would like to thank our chief guest, Shri Pavan Verma-ji, former Indian ambassador and distinguished professor, SIU, for accepting our invitation and addressing the gathering with his thought-provoking talk regarding the degrees of rights versus opportunities that are available, especially in a democratic society. I'm sure everyone has some or the other takeaway from his talk, and we will work towards more betterment of the society. We would like to express our gratitude to Dr. Majumdar, Honorable Chancellor, SIU, for gracing the event. Sir has been a visionary, and we have been greatly encouraged by his gracious presence and immensely benefited from his inspiring address and showing an optimistic perspective in these tough times. Further, I would like to thank Dr. Vidya Yarvarekar, Pro-Chancellor, Symbiosis International University, for her dedication towards ensuring learning and growth for both students and staff. Our students have not only excelled in academics, but also shown great enthusiasm and actively participated in the extracurricular activities. So a big round of applause to all the students and keep up the good work. Further, we are highly grateful to our director, Dr. Jyoti Chandiramani, for her continuous guidance all throughout the year. Strong leadership is the foundation of success, and without you, that would not have been possible, ma'am. So thank you so much. We would also like to thank Dr. Rajni Gupte, Vice Chancellor, SIU, for her continuous support and guidance. Lastly, we've been fortunate enough to be supported by a team of dedicated staff and faculty members. And a special thanks to our technical team for the smooth running of the event today. Thank you so much, everyone.